Hello and welcome to Dr. Chris's Key to the Manager's Mindset video series on personal development and productivity improvement. We're about to dive into an essential skill that can significantly influence both your personal and professional growth: handling criticism constructively. In life, we often find ourselves in situations where we face criticism, and it's not always easy to deal with. It can sometimes feel like a personal attack, leading to feelings of defensiveness, anger, or sadness. However, it's important to remember that criticism, when handled constructively, can be a powerful tool for growth and improvement. Think about it. Wouldn't it be empowering to turn something that often feels negative into a positive catalyst for change? To transform a critique into an opportunity for growth, development, and learning? That's exactly what we're going to explore in this video. When we talk about handling criticism constructively, we're looking at how to take in feedback, process it, and use it to better ourselves. This process can lead to numerous benefits. It can improve relationships, as it shows that you're open to feedback and willing to make positive changes. It can also enhance performance, as you'll be able to identify and work on areas of weakness. Additionally, it promotes personal development, as you'll continually be learning and growing. But it's not just about accepting criticism, it's about understanding it, preparing yourself to receive it, and knowing how to respond to it. It's about separating the message from the delivery, especially when the feedback comes across as harsh or overly critical. It's about building resilience and maintaining self-esteem in the face of critique. In this video, we will discuss how to handle criticism constructively and use it as a tool for personal development. We'll share techniques, strategies, and actionable steps that will empower you to turn criticism into a stepping stone for improvement. So, let's begin this journey of turning critique into constructive change. Let's learn how to handle criticism constructively. To begin with, it's important to understand what criticism is and where it might come from. Criticism, in its simplest form, is the expression of disapproval or disagreement based on perceived faults or mistakes. It's a natural part of human interaction, and it can come from a multitude of sources. But not all criticism is created equal. There's constructive criticism and destructive criticism. Constructive criticism is aimed at improving something. It's generally based on a rational and factual analysis, and it's usually delivered in a friendly manner. On the other hand, destructive criticism is often negative, hurtful, and not intended to be helpful. It's important to distinguish between these two types, as your reaction and response might be different depending on the nature of the criticism. Now let's talk about the sources of criticism. Criticism can come from anywhere and anyone. It can come from your family, your friends, your colleagues, or even from strangers on the internet. It can come in the form of a well-meant advice, a negative review, a disapproving comment, or even a harsh rebuke. The source of the criticism can influence how seriously you take it and how it affects you. And that leads us to the emotional impact of criticism. It's natural to feel defensive, angry, or sad when you're criticized. These are normal human reactions. It's okay to feel these emotions, but it's important not to let them control your response to the criticism. Remember, criticism isn't necessarily a reflection of your worth, but rather, it's often a reflection of the critic's perspective or expectations. To illustrate, let's consider a scenario. Imagine you've just given a presentation at work, and afterwards a colleague comes up to you and says, "Your presentation was too long and boring." This is a form of criticism. It's easy to feel defensive or upset by this comment, but instead of reacting immediately, take a moment to process the criticism. Consider the source and the intent. Is your colleague usually supportive and well-meaning? If so, they might be offering constructive criticism, even if their delivery was a bit blunt. On the other hand, if this colleague is often negative and critical, their comment might be more of a reflection of their own negativity than a fair critique of your presentation. So understanding criticism involves differentiating between constructive and destructive criticism, recognizing the common sources of criticism, and acknowledging the emotional impact of criticism. Once you understand these aspects, you're better equipped to handle criticism constructively. Remember, the first step to handling criticism constructively is understanding it. Now, let's talk about how to prepare yourself to receive criticism. One of the first things you need to do is shift your mindset. The way you perceive criticism can make a world of difference. It's crucial to adopt a growth mindset that views criticism not as a personal attack, but as an opportunity to learn, grow, and improve. Let's imagine for a moment you're a potter. Each piece of clay you shape represents a new skill or knowledge you acquire. Now, every time you receive criticism, you're essentially given a chance to mold that clay into something even better. But if you view criticism as a hammer, it's going to shatter your clay, your confidence, and your progress. So remember, criticism is your hands, not your hammer. Maintaining your self-esteem when faced with criticism is equally important. It's easy to let negative feedback chip away at your confidence, but remember that everyone makes mistakes. It's not a reflection of your worth or abilities, it's simply a sign that there's room for improvement. To illustrate this, think of a diamond. A diamond in its raw state isn't very impressive. It's the cutting, shaping, and polishing that brings out its true brilliance. Similarly, you're that diamond. Criticism is just the process of cutting and shaping you into a better version of yourself. Another important aspect of preparing to receive criticism is expectation setting. If you go into a situation knowing that feedback, both positive and negative, is a possibility, it can make it easier to handle. Think of it as a weather forecast. If you know there's a chance of rain, you're likely to carry an umbrella. The rain may still dampen your day, but at least you're prepared for it. So how can you set expectations for potential feedback? One way is to always strive for excellence, but understand that perfection is unattainable. This way, you're always open to ways you can improve. Another is to remember that everyone has different perspectives and opinions. What may seem perfect to you may not to someone else. Here's a little trick. Before presenting your work or ideas, take a moment to think about possible criticisms. Ask yourself, if I were to critique this, what would I say? This self-evaluation not only helps you improve your work, but also prepares you for any criticism that may come your way. Now let's recap. To prepare yourself to receive criticism, you need to shift your mindset and view criticism as an opportunity for growth. You need to maintain your self-esteem and remember that criticism is not a reflection of your worth. And finally, you need to set expectations for feedback and understand that criticism is a natural part of growth and improvement. Remember, criticism is not something to be feared, but something to be embraced. It's a tool for learning, improving, and becoming the best version of yourself. So, the next time you're faced with criticism, don't shy away from it. Instead, welcome it with open arms and an open mind. Preparing yourself mentally to receive criticism can make the process a lot less daunting. Having prepared ourselves to receive criticism, now let's look at the techniques for handling it constructively. You've heard the phrase communication is key countless times, but it's especially vital when dealing with criticism. The first technique we'll discuss is active listening. Active listening is not just about hearing the words being said, but understanding the message being communicated. It involves paying full attention to the speaker, avoiding interruptions, and showing that you're listening, for example, by nodding your head or saying, "Uh-huh." It's about making a conscious effort to absorb and comprehend the criticism being offered. If you're busy formulating a response or a defense, you're not truly listening. This might seem simple, but it's one of the most effective ways to handle criticism constructively. Next up is asking questions. If something isn't clear in the feedback you're receiving, don't hesitate to ask for clarification. This shows that you're engaged and that you're taking the criticism seriously. It also helps to make sure that you fully understand the feedback before you respond. You might ask, "Can you give me an example of that?" Or, "Can you explain what you mean by that?" This technique not only helps you understand the criticism better, but also allows the critic to feel heard and valued. Now let's talk about staying calm. This might be one of the most challenging aspects of handling criticism. It's natural to feel defensive or upset when someone criticizes you. But remember, your response to criticism is a choice. One way to stay calm is to practice deep breathing. Take a moment, breathe in deeply, and exhale slowly. This can help to lower your heart rate and clear your mind. Another technique is to give yourself a moment before responding. This allows you to process the criticism, gather your thoughts, and respond in a thoughtful and constructive manner. Finally, we have seeking specifics. General criticism can be hard to address because it's not clear what the issue is. By asking for specific examples or suggestions, you can gain a clearer picture of what the critic is trying to communicate. This helps you understand exactly what you can do to improve. Combining these techniques can make a world of difference in how you handle criticism. Active listening shows that you value the other person's perspective. Asking questions ensures that you fully understand their point of view. Staying calm allows you to process the feedback without letting emotions cloud your judgment. And seeking specifics gives you actionable steps for improvement. Remember, the goal here is not to avoid criticism or to win an argument. It's to learn, grow, and improve. So, the next time you receive criticism, try to see it as an opportunity rather than a threat. Listen actively to what the person is saying. Ask questions to ensure you understand their point. Stay calm, even if you feel defensive, and seek specifics so you can use the feedback to improve. It's also important to remember that not all criticism is valid or useful. Sometimes people criticize out of jealousy, insecurity, or misunderstanding. In these cases, it's essential to separate the useful feedback from the noise. But that's a topic for another time. For now, let's focus on these techniques. Practice them, use them, and see how they can transform the way you handle criticism. Using these techniques will help you to handle criticism in a more constructive and beneficial way. Now that we know how to handle criticism constructively, let's discuss how to use it for personal and professional growth. Often, the hardest part about criticism isn't receiving it, but figuring out what to do with it. The first step in this process is breaking down the criticism into actionable steps. This means taking a piece of feedback and distilling it into something you can act upon. For instance, if someone says your presentation skills need improvement, you might break that down into components like body language, vocal tone, and content organization. This helps transform vague commentary into a clear roadmap for improvement. Next, it's time to set some goals based on the feedback you've received. Goals should be smart, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. If we continue with the presentation skills example, a SMART goal might be: improve body language during presentations by practicing in front of a mirror for 15 minutes every day for the next 2 weeks. This goal is specific, improving body language; measurable, 15 minutes every day; achievable, it's a realistic commitment; relevant, it directly addresses the criticism received; and time-bound, 2 weeks. Remember, it's okay to start small. Sometimes the smallest changes can have the biggest impact, but also be ambitious. Don't limit your growth to the confines of the criticism you've received. Always look for opportunities to go above and beyond, to surprise yourself and those around you. Finally, it's important to encourage a cycle of feedback. Growth isn't a one-time event, it's a continuous process, one that benefits immensely from regular input. Don't be afraid to seek out feedback, even if it's criticism. Be proactive. Ask your colleagues, your friends, your family. Ask them what you're doing well and what you could be doing better. And remember, not all criticism will be constructive. Sometimes it will be unfounded or overly harsh, but that doesn't mean it's useless. Even in these instances, criticism can offer valuable insights. It might reveal biases, or it might highlight areas where you can improve your resilience. But perhaps most importantly, it's a reminder that you're human. You're not perfect, and that's okay. In fact, it's more than okay. It's wonderful, because it means there's always room to grow, to learn, to improve. It means that every day, every moment is an opportunity to become a better version of yourself. So the next time you receive criticism, don't shy away from it. Embrace it, break it down, set some goals, and encourage feedback. Use it as a tool for growth, a stepping stone on your path to becoming the best version of yourself. Remember, criticism can be a powerful tool for growth if handled correctly. Even though we aim to handle criticism constructively, it's inevitable that we'll encounter negative criticism. Let's discuss how to overcome it. In the journey of personal and professional growth, we're bound to face criticism, sometimes negative, that can feel like a punch to the gut. But remember, the key is not to let it knock you down, but to learn to roll with the punches. One way to do this is by separating the message from the delivery. This can be especially challenging when the criticism is delivered in a harsh or confrontational manner. The tone, volume, and body language can cloud the message, making it difficult to see the underlying point. However, it's crucial to sift through the noise and focus on the content of the criticism. Ask yourself, is there a valid point here? Is there something I can learn from this? Even in the harshest criticism, there may be a grain of truth worth considering. Another aspect to consider is the source of the criticism. Is it coming from someone who genuinely wants to see you grow? Or is it from someone who enjoys bringing others down? If it's the latter, it's important to remember that their criticism says more about them than it does about you. Building resilience against unfounded or overly harsh criticism is crucial. This doesn't mean developing a thick skin or ignoring the criticism. Rather, it's about understanding that everyone, including you, has room for improvement. It's about recognizing that criticism, even when it's negative, is a part of the journey towards growth. Moreover, building resilience involves understanding your worth and not letting negative criticism define you. It means acknowledging your strengths and achievements, and not just your areas for improvement. It's about maintaining a balanced perspective. Remember, criticism can be a tool for growth, but it should never be a weapon to bring you down. You have the power to choose how you perceive and respond to criticism. Choose to see it as an opportunity for growth, not as a personal attack. Overcoming negative criticism is essential in maintaining your self-esteem and focus on your growth. As we come to the end of this video, let's quickly summarize the key strategies we've discussed. We've explored how to differentiate between constructive and destructive criticism, and the common sources and emotional impacts of criticism. We've delved into the importance of a growth mindset, maintaining self-esteem, and setting expectations when receiving criticism. We've learned techniques for handling criticism constructively, such as active listening, asking questions, staying calm, and seeking specifics. We also discussed how to translate criticism into actionable steps for growth, set realistic goals, and continue seeking feedback. And finally, we've covered strategies to overcome negative criticism by focusing on the message rather than the delivery, and building resilience. Remember, criticism is a valuable tool for personal and professional development. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more videos like this. Click the notification button to be notified whenever a new video is posted.